Hello everyone, in this video we will talk about the features and the configurations of an Odoo Module Cloud Storage Solutions, which was created by faOtools. Cloud Storage Solutions is an Odoo app to organize attachments, manage folders trees, and synchronize Odoo with the cloud storage solutions of your choice. The app introduces automatic algorithms to prepare directories for documents and integrate those with workflows of Google Drive, OneDrive SharePoint, Nextcloud, ownCloud, and Dropbox. A separate add-on for each client is required. Decide which Odoo document types should have their own folders trees. Flexibly create folder rules. Any Odoo model can be chosen. Manage folders and attachments from a single view. Conveniently navigate through them. Search and download files one by one or in a batch. Organize files of any Odoo object in a set of subfolders. Instantly access folders and files in the attachment box and in synced cloud interfaces. Rely on auto-synchronization between Odoo and cloud solutions based on scheduled jobs. No manual interaction is required. Control sync logs right in Odoo. Export and share those in case of any issues. Be notified of any client disconnections. Optionally, sync documents from the Enterprise Odoo Documents with the help of the add-on Cloud Sync for Enterprise Documents. Set up rules to prepare folders based on Odoo Enterprise workspaces. All features including sharing, downloading and signing would work even after sync. The module has a convenient menu from where you can see and manage the folder structure. For that, the single view interface was introduced. A folder is a key object in Cloud Storage Solutions, which represents a virtual location for the attachments and other subfolders. With the help of folders, you can conveniently navigate through files, create easily reachable structures, restrict writes for a particular folder, create personal storage, and even sync some or all of the folders to one or several cloud clients. There are two types of folders, automatic folders and manual ones. Automatic folders are based on folder rules and linked to Odoo objects. Folder rules allow creating a particular structure of folders, which is preserved while syncing with the cloud client. After creating a rule, no further actions are required. However, you can always change the rule. In this case, the folders will be recalculated. We will talk about automatic folders a little bit later. Not only you can create a rule which generates folders, but also you can create a folder or a subfolder manually. Manual folders and subfolders can be added through the Files Manager interface, Objects Attachments box, and may even be synced from the cloud. Manually created folders are particularly useful when you need a particular folder which cannot be extracted from Odoo. They can serve as personal storage. All folders, automatic and manual ones, may contain attachments. You can see and manage folders in the left navigation menu. From there, you will be able to search for a particular folder, open a linked object or a folder, if any, see the configuration of a folder, create a new manual folder or subfolder, edit it, and change the order of manual folders by drag and drop. If you have a lot of folders, then there might be a necessity to use search to easily find the one you need. For that, use the navigation input, search folder, on the left side of the single view interface. As you right-click on an automatically created folder, you see the following actions. Download as archive. Only the attachments of this particular folder will be downloaded. If you want to download the attachments from various folders, just select them and use the mouse action, download. The next action is create subfolder. Then the child folder will appear on the folders tree. Keep in mind that subfolder cannot be a parent folder of an automatic folder. Open linked object. As you know, automatically generated folders are generated based on Odoo objects. Thus, it is possible to open a linked object of a folder. And the last action is settings. Choose this option to see the automatic folder settings. Keep in mind that automatic folder rules, hierarchy and settings cannot be changed from the single view menu. To change the rule settings, go to Configuration, Folder Rules. From the single view interface, you can also create and manage manual folders. To add a root folder manually, click on the button Create New Folder below the folders list and write its title. To add a subfolder, right-click on any folder and choose the option Create Subfolder. As you click on a manually created folder, you see the following actions: download as archive, create subfolder, rename, edit settings that allows changing properties of the manual folder, including name, parent folder, assigning cloud client, limiting access to a user or user groups, and adding some notes, and archive. It is possible to restore the folder later. In the central part of the interface, you see the attachments of the currently opened folder. Only the attachments of one level are seen. For example, if you click on the parent folder as your interior, you will see only files of this folder, and not of all child folders that it includes. You can upload the attachments from the single view interface by clicking on the button Upload File. The files are uploaded to the currently selected folder. To open an attachment details card, click on the thumbnail. There you will be able to see and manage the information about the file. Select multiple attachments by clicking on the square in the top right corner of them. Click the button Select this folder attachments to choose all attachments found by the filters. To deselect one or several attachments, click on their titles in the third functional interface, or on the square in the top right corner of an attachment. To remove the selection, click on the button Reset in the right functional panel by the line Selected Attachments. This selection will not be reset as you switch between folders, filters, use the search bar or apply mass sections. You can use the search bar to find a particular attachment or folder. You can search by name, folder, the author, created by, and MIME type. Just start typing the word, choose one of the options, and click Search. The search takes place in the currently selected folder, but you can switch to another folder by clicking on it, and previously chosen search criteria will not be removed. To reset the search criteria, click on the Reset icon by the Searching option. As you select an attachment, the right functional panel appears. In the right functional panel, you will find the list of mass actions, which allow performing an action to all selected attachments at once. The available mass actions are: Download allows downloading all selected attachments. If there are two or more attachments to download, then they will be downloaded as zip file. Update allows moving the attachments to another folder, and Delete allows removing attachments quickly. The list of mass actions can be edited. You can select the mass actions to show only the ones that you really need. To add a mass action, go to Configuration, find the section Mass Actions, click Add a line, choose Mass Actions by ticking the box by the action, click Select, optionally change the order of mass actions by drag and drop, it will be preserved, and click Save. After saving these changes in settings, the list of MOS sections in the right navigation panel will be updated. To delete a MOS section that you no longer need, click on the cross icon by the action. On the form of each MOS section, both newly added and existing ones, it is possible to choose the security groups that will be able to see and perform it. For that, just click on the MOS section in the list of MOS sections and configurations, then go to the tab Security, click Add a line, and choose the group names. Keep in mind that some MOS sections have preset security groups, so make sure that the users that should see those MOS sections are included in those groups, or change the MOS section's security settings. In addition to the available actions, you can also prepare your own MOS actions. Batch actions for attachments are based on Odoo server actions. To find out how to create a new MOS action, you can refer to the detailed documentation for the module. The link will be in the description. And now let's see how to create and manage automatic folders. For that, let's open the Folder Rules menu. Here you see a list of folder rules. From the columns on the right side, you can find out information about them without opening. Here you see folder name, cloud client if any, rule type if the ownCloud Sync for Enterprise Documents is installed, and parent rule if any. You can change the order of the folders by changing the order of the folder rules. Just drag and drop to change the rules sequence. The lower is the sequence, the higher the related documents folder will be. Keep in mind that the child folder rules will not be higher than their parents, regardless of their sequence. For example, the folder rule customers is a parent one for the rule invoices. Thus, even if we drag and drop the rule invoices above the rule customer, it will not be shown higher in the folders tree. From the Folder Rules menu, you can also archive folder rules. For that, open any rule and click on the gear icon, or select several folder rules by ticking the box on the left side of them, and select the action by clicking on the gear icon. If you archive the folder rule, with the next scheduled job, the related folders will also be archived. The folder rules are updated regularly. As you create an automatic rule, it appears in the Files Manager only after the scheduled job Prepare Cloud folders. The folder rules are checked and updated every 15 minutes. If there is a really big number of objects, some folders might be created, refreshed with one of the next scheduled jobs. It is possible to trigger the scheduled job manually by going to the Cloud Storage Configuration page and by clicking on the button Launch Folder Update at the bottom of the page. However, we highly recommend using the button only for testing purposes. To configure automatic folder rules, a user should belong to the security group Cloud Storage Administration. Let's create a folder rule of the model-related type. A model is an Odoo document type, for example, sale orders or contacts. By choosing the model, we tell the module where to get the information to generate folders. So go to Cloud Storage, Configuration, Folder Rules. Click New, choose the rule type as model-related type. You will be able to choose it only if you have the Odoo Cloud Sync for Enterprise Documents. Otherwise, it is applied by default as the only available one. Choose the folder name. Avoid using the following symbols, as they will be replaced with the slash as soon as you save the rule. It is done to avoid conflicts with file systems. The name should include less than 100 symbols. Choose the related model to sync. If there is at least one cloud client connected, then you may assign it to sync the folders with attachments, or leave the field empty if you don't want to sync them. When you need to add objects of one model inside the objects of another one, you can specify the parent rule. For that, choose the model in the field parent rule, and choose a related many to one field. This way, you will be able to reflect your Odoo workflow logic, create a complex folder structure, and navigate through folders conveniently, so it will be easier to find the required attachments. The models can be linked by the many to one field. For example, if you want to store sale orders folders inside of the related customer folders, then on the card of the sale order, there should be a many to one field which contains the information about the related customer. The folder structure is also preserved in the attachment boxes of the objects. It isn't necessary to sync the whole structure of folders to a cloud client. You can assign the client to some of the folders. Keep in mind that the child folder cannot be synced to a different cloud client. Even if it has another one in its settings, it will be synced to the parent folder's client. The app lets limit in objects for which folders are created. The list of the model's objects to sync can be limited by filters and periods. With the help of filters, you can use any document storable field to distinguish a directory. Have a separate folder for individuals and companies, for European and American opportunities, for quotations and confirmed orders, for each product, and so on. To add a filter, click on the button Add a filter. And here we can set up the rule. If there are any records that match the filter, you will see their number on the right side. Click on it to see the records to make sure the filter is correctly set. Optionally click on the plus button by the filter to add one more rule. So only records that match all or any of the rules will be considered for sync. You can create as many folder rules that refer to the same model as you want. But try to make filters self-exclusive, so a document could be definitely assigned. For instance, customer but not supplier, supplier but not customer. Otherwise, a specific document folder will be added to the folder rule which sequence is smaller. Such folder rules are higher in the list of auto folder rules. To generate folders only for the objects that have attachments, you can tick the option Only with attachments. This way, you won't have any empty object-related folders, so it will be easier to navigate around them. It is also possible to limit documents folders list by relative periods through using date fields of linked documents. For that, go to the tab Periods, click Add a line, choose the Objects field, which will be considered to find the objects-related folders for sync. Choose to consider the next or the last period, set interval and interval type. Optionally tick the box Including current to include the current period to the calculations. Periods are calculated relatively to today. You can check the set periods below in the section if today the periods would be. Optionally add some more periods. Restrictions of periods are accumulated, so if you added a few lines, it means that all periods conditions should be satisfied. However, if you added the same date twice, the condition should satisfy any of those criteria. Optionally, introduce expression to extract folder names for directories. When the folders are created, by default, their title is generated by the nameGet method. For example, the contact Abigail Patterson will have the folder Abigail Patterson added. For different models, this method may work differently. For contacts with a company assigned, the company's name is added before the person's name. If you want to have another logic for generating names for folders, then you can also use the value of objects fields to generate them with the help of name expressions. This way you will be able to get the necessary information about an object without opening it. It is possible to define the rules for folders' names, so they would include the information of one or several fields. To that end, apply the special syntax, the same that is used in Odoo email templates. To add an object's name, open the tab Name Expression. Type the name using the syntax in the field name expression. An expression created with the help of the syntax starts and finishes with the double curly brackets. Everything that is not included in the brackets will be written in the folder's name. You can also add a condition, so if the object has a particular field, then the name will be taken from this field. After the folder's refreshing, the contacts folders will look the following way. In case an expression is parsed successfully, the title of each object-related folder changes according to it. In case the expression cannot be parsed because of the syntax error, the standard nameGet method will be used. You can change the syntax anytime or even return to the default nameGet method. If after rendering the folder name appears to be empty, the app would use the standard nameGet method to avoid folders without names. Some useful examples of the names and extra information you can find in the detailed documentation on our site. The link will be in the description. Optionally, create default folder structure, which will be added inside the objects-related folders with the first sync. Default folders are manual folders with or without default attachments that would be auto-generated for a specific Odoo object folder as soon as object-related folder is created for the first time. Further folder refreshing will not result in generating default folders with default attachments. So let's add some default folders and files. For that, open the tab Default Folders, click Create Root Subfolder, and write its name. Optionally add some extra folders or add some files by clicking on the button Upload Root File. Move folders by drag and drop to change the hierarchy. Click on the folder with the right side of the mouse to create a folder inside the folder, to rename, edit or delete it. And our automatic folder rule is ready. And here is the result of our rule. We have customers, and inside we have sale orders and those sale orders, if any. Inside of the sale order, there are no default folders here because this folder have already existed. And inside of the newly created folders, our default folders with files were added. As you create some folder rules, after the scheduled folders refreshing, the attachment boxes of the related models change. To open the attachment box, just go to any Odoo Objects form view. Find the clip icon and click on it. Here you will see all objects attachments which users can manage. From the attachment box, you will be able to see the objects folder and its children, if any. Navigate through folders by clicking on the arrow icons to see the subfolders. Click on the folder to select it and see its attachments. Even if you have a long list of folders, you can easily find the ones you need with the help of the search bar. Just start typing the folder's title and click on the button Search on the right side of the field. If there is a match, the result will be marked red. To reset the search, click on the button Reset on the right side of the search bar. As you right-click a folder, the list of actions appears. The list of actions is slightly different for manual and automatic folders. The available actions with the automatic folders are: download as archive, which allows downloaded attachments of a chosen automatic folder. Create subfolder allows creating a subfolder to an automatic folder. The subfolder is added to the folders tree according to the hierarchy. Open in File Manager allows opening the related folder in the File Manager for quick access to the main folder tree. Above, you will see the breadcrumbs to quickly return back to the object. Settings allows checking the folder settings. To change the settings of the folder, you need to change the settings of the related folder rule. The available actions with the manual folders are: download as archive, allows downloading the attachments of a particular manual folder. Create subfolder, allows creating a subfolder to the manually created folder. Open in File Manager, allows opening the related folder in the File Manager for quick access to the main folder tree. Above, you will see the breadcrumbs to quickly return back to the object. Rename allows changing the name of a particular folder. Edit settings, change properties of the manual folder including name, parent folder, assign cloud client, limit access to a user groups, and add some notes. And archive allows removing a folder from the folders tree. It is possible to restore the folder later. You can add files through the attachment box, message thread, or through the Files Manager. To add a file through the attachment box, just open the related object, click the button plus Add Attachments, and select the file to upload. It is also possible to add a file to another folder from the list if an object has child folders. For that, select the folder by clicking on it, then click plus Add Attachments and select the file to upload. Another way to upload files to the attachment box is by drag and drop. Just pull the file to the attachments box and drop it when you see the uploading wizard. After uploading, you will see the standard Odoo functional buttons on the attachments cards. The buttons allow performing certain actions with the attachments. Depending on the type of file, the buttons and their placement may be different. For example, if you upload a picture, you will see its thumbnail. Click on the picture to see its preview. Below the preview window, you will see the buttons Print and Download. To delete a file, click on the bin icon in the top right corner of the thumbnail. As for other extensions, some attachments have the preview, for example PDF, and some don't, for example doc. So if you upload a document, then the preview will not be available. On the Documents card, you will find two buttons. Delete allows deleting the document. Download allows downloading the document. When a file is added to the message thread of an object, it also gets to the attachments box. The files in the message thread have the same functional buttons. You can also open, download, and delete them without opening the attachment box. To add a file through the Files Manager, open the Cloud Storage menu, select the folder by clicking on it, click on the button Upload File, and choose the file. After that, you will be able to access the file from both the attachment box of the object and Files Manager, as they are interconnected. Even if the Files Manager is hidden from the user, if he/she has the access to an object, he or she will be able to access the related folder from the attachment box. The other folders from the structure will be seen only in case the user has access to them as well. Synced files and folders will also be accessible from the attachment box. The automatic folders will be marked by the related Cloud Client icon. The manually created folders will have a ribbon on the folders icon. Sync files would have app-related thumbnails instead of standard small previews to avoid access requests to the cloud client for each form opening. For example, you will not be able to see the pictures preview without clicking on the attachment. From the attachments box, you can also open the cloud folder to see all the synced files and folders related to the object. Click on the Open in Clouds button or the cloud icon to see it in the cloud. Even after the sync, a user might download attachments locally by clicking on the download icon on the file. The downloading of the synced files from Odoo doesn't require login into the cloud client. Odoo Standard Preview would equally work for standard Odoo attachments and synced attachments. Files which do not have the preview function in Odoo, for example doc, will be opened in the cloud client. If you click on the Remove button, then after submitting your decision in a pop-up window, the link will be removed from the Odoo, and after the next sync, the file will be removed from the cloud storage as well. After the installation of the module into your database, it is required to finish the setup by doing the following. Go to the Google Developer Console via the URL console.developers.google.com. If it is your first time on the platform, you will be asked to agree to the terms of service and the mail update. The mandatory one is only the terms of service. Select or create a project. After clicking on the button Create Project, the new form will appear. There you need to write the title of the project, optionally add your organization, and click Create. From the project's dashboard, go to APIs Overview and press Enable APIs and Services. Find Google Drive API and push the button to enable it. Go to Credentials and press the button Configure Consent screen. As the user type, select External and push Create. Add app information. As an app name, select any suitable one, and as a user support email, select your email. In the field Developer contact information, add your email address again and press Save and Continue. On the Scopes page, just press Save and Continue. As the test user, add your Gmail address by clicking on the button plus Add Users. Then press Save and Continue. After that, go to Credentials and push the button Create Credentials. In the list, choose Auth Client ID. As the application type, choose Web Application, and as the authorized redirect URL, add the link in a particular format that is generated automatically as you start creating a cloud client in Odoo. Save the app and copy client ID and client secret. Go to the Cloud Storage, Configuration, Cloud Clients, and click New. Choose Google Drive from the list of available cloud clients. Optionally type the root folder name, otherwise the default one, Odoo, will be used. Copy-paste client ID to the App Client ID field, and client secret into the field App Secret Key. And the redirect URL is generated by default. If you use Team drives, check the related box. Make sure you really use Team drives. In your Google Drive, you should find the item Team drives in the left sidebar. This feature is available only for business and enterprise tariffs. If the option Team Drive is enabled, introduce its name. It should be absolutely the same as you see it in your Google Drive. Make sure that your user has full rights to all team drives. Press Confirm to connect to the cloud. After that, you will be redirected to the Google login page. Check in, agree with all conditions, and grant permissions asked. After login, Google redirects you back to Odoo. Google Drive Odoo Synchronization is ready to be done. Let's also configure OneDrive. The tool depends on external libraries, Microsoft Graph. You can install this library for your Odoo server through the command, which you will find in the detailed documentation or on the modules page in Odoo, in the section Guidelines. Make sure that you are installing the package for the correct Python, so for the same one on which Odoo is run. Usually that assumes running the command under sudo. Contact your system administrator if after installation Odoo cannot anyway detect the library. Before the configuration, make sure your Microsoft user has full admin rights for OneDrive or SharePoint that you want to connect to Odoo. After installation of the module in your database, it is required to finish the setup by doing the following. Go to your Azure portal. Click New Registration. Introduce a new name for the application. As the supported account types, choose accounts in any organizational directory, any Azure AD directory multi-tenant, and personal Microsoft accounts, for example Skype, Xbox. Assign the redirect URL. You can find the example in the documentation, or you can generate it automatically in Odoo when you create the cloud client. Then click Register. Go to Cloud Storage, Configuration, Cloud Clients, and click New. Choose OneDrive or SharePoint from the list of available cloud clients. Optionally type the root folder name, otherwise the default one Odoo will be used. Copy the application client ID to the Odoo field App Client ID. Go to Certificates and Secrets, click New Client Secret, copy the secret value to the Odoo field App Secret key. Press Confirm on the Odoo configuration page. After that, you will be redirected to the Microsoft login page. Check in, agree with all conditions, and grant permissions asked. After the successful setup, you will be redirected back to the module settings. The synchronization with OneDrive is ready to be done. The configuration of SharePoint is almost the same as of OneDrive, but you also need to specify the SharePoint site and SharePoint library parameters. In SharePoint, you need to prepare a new documents library, Drive. You might use one of the existing ones, for example, Documents. Odoo folder would be put there afterward, and it would be impossible to move it to another library. In Odoo, while adding the Cloud Client, in the field Cloud Client, choose SharePoint. The SharePoint URL should be of the type HTTPS URL and /. The last slash is required. The site name shouldn't be included. Here is the example. SharePoint site should be either my site name, instead of sites it might be teams, and so on. There should be no slash at the beginning or at the end. Here is the example. As documents library, use the one created in SharePoint. Then you need to establish the connection with SharePoint. For that, Click Confirm, check in, agree with all conditions, and grant permissions asked. Let's establish connection with Nextcloud. The connection with ownCloud is established in the similar way. The tool depends on external library's ownCloud. Install this library for your Odoo server. The command you will find in the detailed documentation for the module or on the modules page in the section Guidelines. Make sure that you are installing the package for the correct Python, so for the same one on which Odoo is run. Usually that assumes running the command under sudo. Contact your system administrator if after installation Odoo cannot anyway detect the library. After the installation of the module in your database, it is required to finish the setup by doing the following. Go to the Cloud Storage, Configuration, Cloud Clients and click New. Choose ownCloud or Nextcloud from the list of available cloud clients. Optionally type the root folder name, otherwise the default one Odoo will be used. Enter your ownCloud Nextcloud full URL. Here's the example. Select an ownCloud Nextcloud users, which has full rights to read, create, write, and delete files and folders within a root directory, and enter the login and password of this user. By default, all links from Odoo to ownCloud Nextcloud are internal. It means that only authorized users may access them and after that generate shared URLs for others. It is possible to make them public using the option Use Public URLs. In that case, links will become shared, meaning that everybody may access those files by links. Although the links would be hardly known by external users, there is a slight chance that they become available as a result of some users' actions. Besides, sharing link generation is not fast and might make the synchronization slower. Thus, be cautious if you decide to turn on the feature and use shared links. Then click Confirm. After the successful setup, you will be redirected back to the module settings. The synchronization with Nextcloud is ready to be done. Let's establish the connection with the Dropbox. The tool depends on the external library Dropbox. Install the library for your Odoo server through the command that you will find in the detailed documentation for the module or on the modules page in the tab Guidelines. Make sure that you are installing the package for the correct Python, so for the same one on which Odoo is run. Usually that assumes running the command under sudo. Contact your system administrator if after installation Odoo cannot anyway detect the library. After the installation of the module in your database, it is required to finish the setup by doing the following. Follow the URL dropbox.com developers apps create. Here it is. Choose an API as scoped access. Choose the type of access as full Dropbox. Select any suitable name for the app and push the button Create App. Add the redirect URL of the predefined type. The URL is generated as you start creating a cloud client card in Odoo. Here it is. A valid SSL certificate is required. Go to the tab Permissions. Grant permissions to the app account info read, files and folders metadata write and read, files content write and read, collaboration write and read. For Team Dropbox, assign also team data members and members read. Make sure no other permissions are assigned. Then click Submit. Go to the Cloud Storage, Configuration Cloud Clients and click New. Choose Dropbox from the list of available cloud clients. Optionally type the root folder name, otherwise the default one Odoo will be used. Copy app key and app secret and redirect URL to the related fields in Odoo. For team Dropboxes only, check the box Dropbox Team, set an email of Dropbox user. Inside this user folder, all Odoo-related items would be created, and only after that they will be shared with all other users. Under this user, all files and folders are created, changed, moved, and deleted. Dropbox has a specific way to generate links for existing files and folders. In particular, there are no concepts of internal or private URLs. Instead, each Dropbox item might get a so-called shared URL. Such shared links are either public or team-only. Moreover, the latter feature is available only for Dropbox business accounts. Sometimes it is considered to be not fully safe. Although website URLs will be hardly known by external users, there is a slight chance that they become available as a result of some user actions. Besides, sharing link generation is not super fast and might make their sync process slower. That is why the feature to switch off sharing URLs is introduced. If checked, all Dropbox URLs in Odoo will be of a particular type. Such links will not work in quite many cases. For example, you will not be able to use the button Open in Cloud. Also, you will not be able to open such formats as XLXX, which cannot be opened through the standard Odoo reviewers. For that, authorization will be required. Thus, if you need to open Dropbox files and folders from Odoo, do not turn on the feature No links to Dropbox from Odoo. Press Confirm. After that, you will be redirected to the Dropbox login page. Check in, agree with all conditions, and grant permissions asked. If you did everything right, but a mistake appears as you log in and confirm to the account, add and remove some permissions and try to log in several times. After the successful setup, you will be redirected back to the module settings. The synchronization with Dropbox is ready to be done. As soon as the folders appear, the same ones are created in the Cloud client with one of the next sync. All folders are created inside the root folder Odoo. Folder rules folders serve as storage for object-related folders. So each Odoo folder will have its own Cloud folder. For example, inside of the root folder Odoo, you will find the folder rules folder customers and the contacts related folder as your interior. The result of your actions will be different depending on the place where the changes are introduced, in Odoo or in the client. Let's look at the actions applied from Odoo and their consequences. Create a folder to sync. If you create a folder rule or folder in Odoo and set a Cloud client to it, then it will be synced. For example, we have created a folder rule customers, and the related folders were generated in the Files Manager. As we have assigned the Cloud client, Google Drive, to the folder rule, those folders were synced to the cloud. If you move a folder, for example by changing its parent folder, then it will be moved in the Cloud client as well. For example, we have a folder rule tasks with the parent rule projects. If we clear the field parent rule, the folder rule will no longer be a child one to projects. Thus, the hierarchy will change and the folder tasks will change its place in both Files Manager and Cloud Client if assigned. If you change the Cloud Client in the folder rules settings, then with one of the next sync, the files will be returned to Odoo with the help of the reversed sync, and then moved from Odoo to the other Cloud client with the help of the direct sync. For example, we have two Cloud clients in our system, Google Drive and OneDrive. The folder rule departments at first was synced to OneDrive, but then we have changed the Cloud client to Google Drive, so it was returned to Odoo and then sent to the Google Drive with the help of the reverse sync. You can rename an object in Odoo, and the changes will be applied in the Cloud client as well. For example, we have a client Azure Interior, which after rebranding changed its name to Azure, and we have changed it on the contact card as well. With the next sync, the name has changed in the Cloud client as well. If you change the filters of a folder rule, then the folders will be recalculated, and if there are some new matching objects, their folders will be created. And if some objects don't match the filters anymore, the objects-related folders will be returned to Odoo by the reversed sync with the next scheduled job. For example, we have removed one of the filters of the folder rule customers, so more objects match the conditions, and the related folders were generated and then synced to the cloud. Archive a folder. You can archive a folder in Odoo. The reverse sync will take place, which will return files back to Odoo. There may be various reasons that lead to archiving a folder. The folder is archived if you delete an object, archive a manual folder, and change filters so the object no more matches them. If you delete an object in Odoo, it will also be removed from the cloud. For example, the company of our client Deco Edict was closed, so we have archived the contacts card. The files returned back to Odoo, and the folder was removed from the cloud client with the next reversed sync. Please avoid triggering the reverse sync as it assumes the most complex operations. Make sure you really need it. Now let's look at the actions applied from the cloud. If you create a folder in the cloud client, then with the next sync it will be added as a subfolder in Odoo. For example, let's add a folder Terms of Agreement to our projects folder in the cloud client. With the next sync, it is added to the related place in Odoo. If you try to change the name of a folder in the cloud client, then the name of the folder will differ in Odoo and in the cloud until you rename it manually in Odoo. This way, performing such an action isn't desirable. It is also undesirable to move a folder in the cloud, while the structure in Odoo and Cloud client will differ, as the folder will not be returned to its place and will not trigger the moving in Odoo. For example, we have moved the folder administration to the root folder. In the Files Manager in Odoo, no changes will take place. However, the sync will continue, and the folder will stay on the same place in General Odoo folder. Delete a folder. Performing such an operation is not desirable. If you try to delete the folder in the Cloud client, then after the next direct sync, the folder with child folders will be recreated. But as the files were stored in the Cloud client and they were deleted, they will not be restored in the cloud. In Odoo, the broken links will remain. The folder changes in Odoo are prioritized over the folder changes in the Cloud client. For example, if we delete a folder quotations permanently, then with the next sync the folder with child folders will be recreated. However, the files will be lost as they were kept in the cloud. Avoid renaming, moving and deleting folders in the Cloud client. They should be managed in Odoo. After the sync, the attachments of each folder and hence related Odoo object will be moved to the related folder in the Cloud client. Only links to the files will be kept in Odoo. As with folders, certain actions have a different result depending on the place where the changes are introduced, in Odoo or in the client. When considering files and changes in them, both the direct sync and the backward sync are equally important. Let's see some common actions performed to the files and their consequences. If you upload files to Odoo, then those files will be transferred to the Cloud client. Only links to them will remain in Odoo. You will still be able to access the file quickly just by clicking on it in Odoo. In case you upload the files to the Cloud client directly, the app will create URL attachments for those items in a linked Odoo folder. In Cloud client's folders, you can put not only files but also child folders. In that case, with the next sync, the folder will be created on Odoo, and it will be seen from the object's attachment box and in the file storage as well. If you rename a file in the Cloud client, then the changed Odoo attachment will be also renamed. For example, let's rename the GIF file to forecast. After the next sync, it will be renamed in Odoo as well. You can also rename an attachment in Odoo. For that, click on the attachment's thumbnail and you will be redirected to the attachment's card. There, introduce the new name. The changes will be reflected in the cloud as well. If you move a file from the Cloud client from one object to another, a linked Odoo attachment would also be moved. For example, let's move the recording to the object folder checklist, and the changes are reflected in Odoo. You can move an attachment to another folder in Odoo with the help of the section update. For that, just select the file or files, click Update, and choose the folder to move them to. For example, let's move the GIF file to the object folder entry hole. With one of the next sync, it is moved in the cloud as well. If you delete a URL attachment from Odoo, it will also be deleted from the Cloud client. If you delete a file from the Cloud client, a linked Odoo URL attachment would also be deleted. Regardless of the place, you can always download any attachment. To download the attachment from Odoo, just click on the download icon and the downloading will start automatically. To download the file from the client, click on the file and choose the appropriate command. The Odoo and Cloud Sync for Enterprise Documents introduces the possibility to generate folders for workspaces. Workspace-related rule is a folder rule which is used to sync the files from the module documents, which creates folders according to the workspace structure. To force Odoo to prepare workspace-related directories, define folder rules of the type workspace-related rule. The tool would automatically create linked folders and sync those for chosen cloud storage with one of the next scheduled jobs. The folder rules of the workspace type are marked in the folder rules menu with the blue color. To set a workspace-related automatic folder rule, go to Cloud Storage, Configuration, Folder Rules, and click New. Choose the rule type as workspace-related rule. Choose the folder name. Avoid using the following symbols and folders and files names, as they will be replaced with a hyphen. It is done so to avoid conflicts with the file system. The name should include less than 100 symbols. If there is more than one cloud client connected, then choose the one to which you want to sync the files, or leave the field empty if you don't want to sync the folder. Optionally, limit the objects which should be synced by applying the filters. It's not obligatory to reflect the whole DMS structure. Thus, it is possible to filter workspaces by any storable field. For example, you can set a filter to generate folders only for own documents or for the particular parent-child workspace. The process of adding a filter to a workspace-related rule is the same as to a model-related rule. Certain actions with workspaces and documents may have a different result depending on the place where the changes are introduced, in Odoo or in a client. Let's look at the most popular ones. If you add a new workspace and assign a Cloud client to it, then a related folder will be created in the Cloud client with the next sync. If you rename a synced workspace, then the related folder in the Cloud client will be also renamed with the next sync. If you move a synced workspace, for example by changing the parent one, then the structure in the Cloud client also changes accordingly with the next sync. If you delete a synced workspace in Odoo, then with the next sync it will be also deleted from the Cloud client. Let's also discuss the actions with workspace-related folders in the Cloud client. If you create a folder in the Cloud client, then it is also added to Odoo as both a workspace folder and as a folder in Files Manager. The files added to a workspace folder in the Cloud client will also be added in Odoo. If you try to change the name of a folder in the Cloud client, then the name of the folder will differ in Odoo and in the Cloud until you rename it manually in Odoo. If you move an object-related folder in the Cloud client, then the structure will differ between Odoo and the Documents module. The folder will not be returned back to its previous place in the Cloud, but it still will be synced. If you delete an object-related folder from the Cloud client, then with the next sync it will be recovered without files. Certain actions with documents may also have different consequences, depending on the place where the actions are performed, in Odoo or in the Cloud. If you add a document to one of the synced folders or workspaces, then with the next sync it will also be added to the related folder in the Cloud. If you change the name of a synced document in Odoo, its name in the Cloud client will also be changed with the next sync. If you move a document to another workspace in Odoo, then with the next sync it will be moved in the Cloud accordingly. If you delete a previously synced document from Odoo, then it will be deleted from the Cloud as well. If you upload a document to one of the synced folders in the Cloud client, then with the next sync the document will be uploaded to the related folder in Odoo as well. If you rename one of the synced documents in the Cloud, then with the next sync it will be renamed in Odoo as well. If you move a synced document to another workspace in the Cloud, then with the next sync it will be moved in Odoo accordingly. And if you delete a synced document from the Cloud client, then with the next sync it will be deleted from Odoo as well. Now let's look deeper at the synchronization process. You will find the synchronization principles in the module's documentation. In general, synchronization is a fully automatic process based on scheduled jobs. The connector works on a queue, first in, first out principle. The synchronization doesn't take place in real time to avoid performance conflicts and functionality issues. If the Odoo was unable to finish a task, for example to send a file or a folder, then after some time, which is increased exponentially when the error repeats, it will return to it. The module will make up to 8 attempts. The first attempt will be in 30 minutes, the second one in 60, and so on. If even after this time the task will be completed with an error, then it will not be performed anymore to avoid the high consumption of the platform resources. If there are some active tasks, then the application firstly does them and only after that scans the folders. The application searches for the oldest folder, if any. The queue, task creation, and control of operations fulfillment can be tracked in real time through the module sync logs. We will talk about them later. Synchronization is done in both ways. directly from Odoo to the Cloud client, and backwards. Both types of sync work in one single process. There is another type of synchronization, reverse sync, that was introduced to make it possible to change a cloud client or switch between them or to reset the sync. It helps to return previously synced files back to Odoo and delete them from the cloud, or move files from one cloud client to another. The types of files for direct sync can be limited. For example, don't sync PNG pictures or PDF files. For that, go to Cloud Storage, Configuration, Configuration. Find the field Not Synced MIME Types and enter comma-separated MIME types without spaces that should not be synced. Here's the example. If you choose not to sync a particular type of file and then add it to the cloud client, with the next sync the file will be also added to Odoo, as the limitation doesn't affect backward sync. Take into account that the following MIME types would not be synced disregarding these settings. Moreover, attachments of zero size and attachments which start with slash also would not be taken into account. Make sure that you use the right name of the extension. Odoo recognizes applications in its own way, with an intuitive extension. For example, PDF is recognized as application/PDF. To check the extension of uploaded attachments, turn on the developer mode, open the technical menu Attachments, click on any attachment, check the extension of the file in the line MIME type. For extra convenience, the special SyncLogs interface was introduced. It allows you to control planned jobs and their fulfillment. With the help of the information from the sync logs, you will be able to see the sync history, know whether the sync took place and what has changed, check whether a particular file was synchronized, investigate the sync problems. The sync history contains all the necessary information about all actions of the module. For example, what folders were created and what files were imported or exported by what cloud. The time of the action is also tracked, so you may see when the action took place. The time of the sync logs corresponds to the time of the Odoo server. Thus, it may differ from the local time of the user. To open the sync logs interface, go to the Cloud Storage Configuration Sync Logs. There you will be able to see the list of changes which take place while sync. You can also see it in the real time, as the objects and files are managed. One of the most important functions of the sync logs is to point out the problem in sync. If there is a problem, a mistake and its details will appear in the sync logs. From here you may find out what actions to take or may export the logs in order to send them to the customer support email for further investigation of the issue. Depending on the result of the sync operations may be either green if it was successful, orange for warnings if there was an unserious error, or red if there was an error. The button Export was introduced to share sync logs in case the error appears. This way you will be able to send the logs to a responsible person, who will be able to fix the problems in time. If you have more than one cloud client, then you will be able to switch between their logs. When there are a lot of files synchronizing every day, it might be rather difficult to find information you need through sync logs. Therefore, there are several ways to conveniently search the sync records. You can search sync logs by matches in logs or cloud clients' names. For that, just start writing your request in the search field in the top left corner and click on the search icon. It is also possible to search logs for a particular date. Just add it to the search bar in the following format. Also, you can search them by applying log levels in the left side of the interface by clicking on the slider button. The available ones are critical, error, warning, info, and debug. If you click on the export button after selecting a cloud client or applying the particular filters, then only matching sync logs will be exported. To find the acute sync logs faster and not to take up a lot of server space, you may limit the number of days for which the sync logs are kept. To define how many days sync logs should be kept in Odoo, go to Cloud Storage, Configuration, and specify the number of days in the field Log Storage Period Days. The number should not be less than 3 days. You can also subscribe for a particular cloud client notifications. So if there is a critical connection error, you will receive an email and will be able to fix the problem in time. For that, go to Configuration, Cloud Clients. Open one of them and click Follow in the bottom right corner. Sync logs do not assume replacing Odoo server logs. It is a complementary function which allows controlling the sync from the configuration interface. You may need Odoo server logs as well to investigate the roots of detected in sync logs warnings. As you configure a cloud client, the button Reconnect POS appears in the top left corner. It is useful when a cloud client wasn't used for a while, or when the sync has stopped, for example, when there was an error while sync, a token has expired. Then when granting extra permissions is required, for example, when terms of agreement has changed and it's necessary to give permissions to manage files in cloud client. For migration purposes, when a new version of Odoo comes out and you need to apply some changes on the platform, and when you want to stop the sync. For example, when you configured several cloud clients and to boost the sync process of one of them, you stop the other. To reconnect the cloud client, press the button Reconnect, then Confirm, and follow the instructions related to the target cloud client. Reverse sync takes place when a folder isn't anymore synced. When you want to change the cloud client of the previously synced files and folders, or when the sync is fully stopped, so the cloud is reset. It assumes getting all items back to Odoo, delete the files from the cloud client, and optionally send them to another one. The reversed sync is triggered by the same scheduled job as the direct and the backward sync. Run prepare sync queue. It can also be triggered manually by clicking on the button Launch Sync. Reverse sync operations are usually prioritized to direct and backward sync operations. Thus, in most cases, the planner will work with the tasks related to reverse sync until they are fulfilled, and only after that will continue completing the other tasks. Not all items can be correctly reversed to Odoo due to the cloud client peculiarities. For example, there are documents that may exist only in cloud storage environments, such as Google Sheets. The app would try to convert such documents, but in some cases it would require manual interactions. Try to avoid using the reverse sync. Make sure you really need it. The module introduces two new user groups, which can see and manage the menu cloud storage, File Manager Access, and Administration. To observe the menu cloud storage and the app files manager, a user should belong to the security group Cloud Storage, File Manager Access. To configure automatic folder rules, establish connection with various cloud clients, control sync logs, and apply the app settings, A user should belong to the security group Cloud Storage Administration. To assign one of the roles to a user, go to Settings, Manage Users, choose a particular user, scroll to the section Productivity. In the field Cloud Storage, choose one of the options. A user without the cloud storage rights assigned can't open the Files Manager interface, but can see folders with files in Attachments box. This way he or she will have the access to the object's files, including the synced ones, if he or she has the access to the object itself. To access any folder in Files Manager, a user should be able to access all its parents. Access for each Odoo automatic folder is regulated based on the linked object. If such an Odoo object is available for a specific user, its directory would be also available for her or him. For example, if Anita Oliver doesn't have the access rights for projects, she will not be able to open a linked project, but she will be able to open tasks while they don't have a parent folder rule project assigned. Access for Odoo manual folders is regulated based on the parent-child relationship. If you have the access to a parent folder, then you also have the access to its children. Restricting the access to a particular manual folder is an additional way to limit access rights to make a folder even more secured. Define the users or user groups in the manual folder's settings, so no one else could access it. If nobody is specified, then a manually created folder is available for everyone. Keep in mind that the creator of the folder should be also added to the list to access it. The app doesn't regulate access levels for cloud clients and their items. The tool regulates rights only for Odoo objects and synchronizes those to required storage. After the sync, if it is necessary, you should apply the settings for a target cloud client folders and files. I hope this video will be useful for you. Feel free to contact us to try the module in the demo instance. See you in the next videos.